So today's session is around the main topic of smart digital tools, and today I thought we'd go and have a look at surveys, because surveys can be quite important for your business and give you a lot of information that will help you in your business and what you are wanting to do and improve. So from here, so why should you? So let's just have a look at a couple of things why we potentially should look at doing a survey with our audiences. So first of all, you'd want to get more customer satisfaction and loyalty. So you're asking for their input. So you're looking at, what is it they know about your product, or what is it they feel about it? Do they like it? Don't they? You don't want that one, obviously, but it's always good to know. What else is there about your product that you'd like to know from your customers? It's always a good thing to get feedback, good or bad, because if you can fix it, if it's a negative or not negative, but if it's a criticism, take it on board and go, right, how can I fix that, and so forth. And you can also get a lot higher loyalty for your brand and so forth, because you are going back to these guys and going, what can we do for you? So it's a really good starting point for a survey. Is that customer engagement. Again, you're asking them questions. It could be, simple questions about, what's their favorite thing about your business, or something like that off the top of my head. So there's lots of things that you can do to get that customer engagement. It's almost like doing polls and so forth, where you're asking them for their opinions. So it's a good way to actually have that in there, because you're not only getting the engagement, but you're getting their loyalty and their satisfaction for your product as well, or your service, depending upon what type of business you're in. And then, of course, you can look at it from a point of view of product or service enhancements. So, if you feel like there's something not quite right, or you just need a little bit of feedback or further feedback on something, this is a really good opportunity to ask your customer. Who better to ask than them? Because at the end of the day, they're going to tell you if they like it or if they don't, or what's missing and what's going well, what's not going well. So this is your opportunity to really make an impact on what you're going to do in your business and develop it further. So it's a fantastic way. Plus, if your customers can see that you're taking that feedback on board, well, there's your loyalty straight there, because they're going to go, right, they listen to me. I'm going to be able to now go and do that product exactly the way I suggested, for instance, or not exactly, but the way I suggested, and you've taken it on board. So there comes your loyalty with it as well. So it's a really good way to show people what you're doing to enhance your product or your service. Another good one is customer data. There's nothing like customer data, and if you ever hear or see anything now, it's all about big data, big data, big data. So, the more you know about your customer, the better, because you can then refine your product down to exactly what your audience is after, and that will obviously in turn be able to give you more sales, because people then are going, yep, that's exactly what I want. That's the target market. That's who I want, and you're home and hosed. So it's really good to get that customer data and to get that information. Along with that, if you can get more of that demographic or even geographic data from them, when and if you decide to do any social spend on Facebook or Instagram or any of the platforms for that matter, or even Google Ads, if you're wanting to do any of that, if you've got that data, your ads are going to work a hell of a lot better for you, because you know exactly where they are and who they are. So it's good to get that customer data as well. And there's nothing wrong with asking the question. People will either answer it or not. It's up to you. Up to them. But at least you've tried. And the more data that you can get your hands on, the better off your business will be. It comes down to an operational efficiency, because obviously if you find out how well your business is going with your business, or with your customers or not, then your operational efficiency is going to get better as well, because some of those suggestions or some of the upgrades that you've done that will make your life better and more viable as well to actually produce that product or that service or whatever it is that your business is doing. So you're going to become really efficient in that space, and you'll know exactly where all your cost factors are, where everything is, and you can just put on something that is going to give your customers exactly what they're after, as I've said, and then give you the chance to actually create a product that is wanted as well. And then, of course, benchmarking for development. So you might get some really good feedback where at the moment it's not going to be a viable process. So say, for instance, you might be a tour operator and someone has suggested to you that your bus needs an upgrade to be four-wheel drive option, for instance, so that you can go off the beaten track. So, and that's not a cheap exercise, obviously, to upgrade something like that. So, but what you can do is you can forecast for that, and you can put it in all into your business planning, into your marketing budgets, into your budget, everything. You can basically allow for that for future and work towards that as a long-term business goal or even a short-term business goal, if that's what it is. So you've got the ability to then go, right, this is where I am now, this is where I want to be, because that's what my audience has asked for. So it gives you a really good indication of the information that you need from your audience or customers, passengers, guests, whoever it is, that's who they are for you. So there's plenty of survey tools out there. So one that you've probably heard of quite a lot is Surveymonkey. And if we have some time today, we'll have a look at it quickly just so you can see how it's set up and how it works. It's very simple. There's another one called Typeform. There's Google Forms. There's HubSpot Forms. There's Lime Survey. There's one called Get Feedback. There was probably way too many here to mention, but these are pretty much the ones that I know of and have worked in the past. And all of these provide excellent platforms to create your survey. So some of them are free. Some of them have an initial free platform, but then there might be paid extras if you want to get into extra bits into the survey. So for instance, Surveymonkey has a free platform, but if you want to export the data that it collects for you, so all the analytics and the insights, then you need to go up to another level. You can still see the data and you can still see the insights. You just can't export it into a spreadsheet, for instance. So there's things like that. In Typeform and Google Forms, they have obviously a free platform. Google Forms has a free platform. Typeform, I believe, it's got a free one and then options to upgrade after that. So do all the others. So you don't have to be spending money to create a very simple survey. And some of them may also only allow you to have so many questions as well. So, for instance, Surveymonkey on the free platform, you get up to 10 questions, which is pretty good, really, when you think about a survey. If you not really keen on doing a lot of surveys, then 10 questions or lower is the best way to go anyway. I'll talk about that now. So there's plenty of survey tools out there. Don't use for instance, a Word document and then send that via email. That's not efficient for you and your time. Plus, you won't be able to track it. So these will all be able to track what's going on, much like what the MailChimp does when it tracks the surveys that go out, and then it collects the data coming back, and you can see who's completed it and who hasn't. So you can then send reminders and so forth to say, hey, you haven't finished your survey, can you go in and finish it? So whereas if you just did that as a Word document, for instance, or a PDF document and attach that to an email, you don't get any of that. So you're better off to use a survey tool like one of these, and then at least you'll get all the insights and the data, and it collects the results of the questions for you. Whereas if you did a Word document, you'd have to sit there and go, right, this person answered this one and this one. And so don't waste your time doing it that way. Definitely do it with a survey tool, much, much better. Okay, so now tips on writing your surveys. So first of all, obviously, and anyone who's done any sessions with me, I always say and start with, what's your purpose? Don't send the survey because Susan said. Send a survey because you have a purpose. So if it's to know more about your customers, then that's fine, but work out what that purpose is and be quite defined in that purpose. Don't just send it out for the sake of it. Make sure you've got an idea about what it is, and you might end up doing a bit of a plan around your surveys. For instance, you could go, right, once every quarter or once a year or twice a year or however often that you think your business needs it, that's your plan. So you're going to put that purpose out there and go, right, every month or every fortnight. Oh, that's probably a little bit too many surveys, but say at least every quarter, you might go, yep, I'm going to do a survey to get more information. The first one might be more data collection around my customer. The second one might be more information around your particular product or service that you're offering. The last one might be getting some advice or suggestions from your customer, depending upon what it is. And then the last one might be, and I can't even think of one. So there you go. I only do 3 in a year, but I'm sure there'd be more that you could do. But you could have a plan, and this would form part of your marketing plan as well. Keep them short and focused. You probably already feel like in yourself, if you get a survey that comes across your desk, that you go, oh God, not another survey. But if you keep it short and direct and simple, then you won't have, hopefully, you will get more responses to your survey. So short and focused, I'm talking about questions that are close-ended questions. So, asking an actual yes, no, because that is simple. People don't have to sit there and write a few words or even a sentence or two. It's just a yes, no response, or it might be a radio button that you're asking them to go yes, no, or something like that. Or it could even be a multiple choice where it's a very simple question and you give them the options. Very simple, very straightforward to complete. There's not much really involved for them to do. If you're going to do any of those rating scale questions, so, rate your experience from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. So if you're going to do that, keep those consistent within your questions. So don't chop and change too much, because then your results may not be as good as what that you would hope, because you're asking rating scales, and you can then go towards what's called a net promoter score. I won't get into that too much today. That's another thing. But a net promoter score basically gives you the information on how well your customer is seeing you. So, yeah, if you're going to use rating scales, keep those consistent. Don't mix and match them with too many other questions. Usually try and stick to those in your survey. Logical ordering, of course. So don't jump from one topic to the next. Make sure that they're nice and smooth and they make sense, and they almost evolve into the next question. So if you're looking for customer data, if it's, it could be a postcode, and then it could be, going into something else about where they live or whatever the case may be. So make sure that it's quite logical in the ordering that you're doing those questions. You'll soon find out if it works or not. And then, of course, think about your audience at the end of the day as well. So when are you going to send them those surveys? So I found some stats earlier about when potentially you could send these and when you're going to get the best responses. And I found the data was the best time to send and for them to open and use or complete a survey are on Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays. Go figure. Don't know why those particular days are the ones that people are more likely to complete a survey, but that was the research that was completed by Surveymonkey, actually. And obviously that might vary from types of businesses and the audiences and so forth, but on a very large scale survey that they did, that was the results that they came back with. So Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays, which is interesting. You wouldn't think Fridays and Sundays would be up there, but according to them, it is. So think about that when you're sending it. Of course, test it. I'm sure you've got some test bunnies in your family or friends or other business colleagues that they wouldn't mind scanning the survey for you and answering the questions even, so that they can say, hey, look, that question didn't quite work very well. You might need more here. You might need to get rid of that question. So just test is always, and I think I say that every time I do any of these sessions as well. Testing is absolutely paramount on anything that you do. And then once you've got it out there, how long is it going to be out there, and how long are you going to give them to fill it out? So you can send reminders. So a lot of these survey tool websites that I mentioned before will help you to resend a reminder if they haven't completed it at this point. So it just depends on what the information that you're trying to get from your audience. If you really need as much as you possibly can, you might send a couple of reminders. And then if you're really looking for good data to come back, you might need to consider doing an incentive of some description. So, it could just be, complete this survey and you get a $50 fuel voucher or something, something that's going to give them an incentive to actually complete it. So they could get the chance to win something. It could be anything. So I see a lot of surveys used when there's a competition. So you might have a survey that they complete, and at the end of it, there might be something as in, a big win, not just a $50 voucher, but I see lots of, like, you could win a holiday, or you could win a car, or you could win whatever the case may be. So I see quite a lot of big incentives sometimes, and generally when you see those, it's because they want a lot of data. And if they can get their hands on a lot of data, then that's going to benefit your business at the end of the day for a lot of other business decisions that you might need to make down the track. So that's just a few tips about creating your survey. So what would be great, if you can, go and sign up for a free account somewhere like Surveymonkey or Lime Survey, or even Google Forms for that matter. And what is it that you want to know from your audience? So work out just a very simple little survey that you can do. It might only have 3 or 4 questions, maybe 5 questions. So a simple survey that you can send to your current database. And then with that database, you'll get hopefully all that data back, and then send it. And then let's see what happens. Let's see what sort of reaction you get. And let us know. I think every time I say that, let us know how your survey went, if it worked, if it didn't, what could have been done better. So, we might be able to give you some feedback in that. Include us in the survey so that we can see it, and we can potentially complete it for you as well, so you can see some data that comes through from us as well. So have a look at surveys, because I think surveys is another one that businesses don't use a lot of. We talked the other day in a session on Monday about lead magnets, and this could potentially be another lead magnet for you. So, getting them to enter their data into this survey so that you can then obviously make those further business decisions down the track. So lots of options here in the way you want to run a survey, but could be very lucrative and very good for your business to know. So that's it today for the presentation of this topic today for surveys. Have a wonderful rest of the week and a weekend, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.